Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. We get together most weekdays, Mondays through Fridays, mornings at 8 o'clock Central. Today is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We had applied for and received a grant, and the grant has two important elements. The first of which is we are responsible for helping build financial literacy. And financial literacy, specifically in the realm of business financial literacy. And frankly, these morning Zooms help contribute towards that. And you all are obviously instrumental in helping us educate in communities across the country. And then, secondly, our second mission is to improve access to capital because knowledge is great, but if we don't have the money to start and grow small businesses, then we're not helping communities, we're not creating jobs, we're not building the tax base. So it's those two elements that we focus on. And I'm so thankful to have the opportunity to work with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you all who are what we will call our distribution partners. There's no cost to be a distribution partner, no contract to sign, no strings attached. But if you'd like to be a distribution partner, you can go to our nonprofit website, which is highlighted here. My screen should be shared with you, 509pacific.org. And so you can go on the page, see where it says grant coordinator inquiry form. To us, reseller and grant coordinator means the same thing. Some people ask, well, if it means the same thing, why are there two different names? I think it comes down to your philosophy. So if you want to help us fulfill our mission and earn an adult income by doing such, there's kind of two different approaches, and either of them are fine. But if you're focused on really leading with education, then the grant coordinator title I think makes a lot of sense because it suggests it infers that we're here to educate first and then of course enroll clients in the Shelf Corp secondly. But some of you are just hunters, right? Just flat out hunters. And if you're a hunter, it's fine to realize you're a reseller, right? Because what you are technically paid for is to resell shelf corporations. You might say, well, why shelf corporations? How does that even fit in? And let's go ahead and start adding some notes here. We'll call it some key concepts. So the most important thing that I can convey to you today or any day is the underlying rule. If you, and it doesn't mean you, but if it, anyone, but if you want business funding, you need to have a fundable business. Oops, I missed a B there. And maybe that sounds like a play on words, but it's incredibly serious. It's incredibly crucial, right? So there's different types of funding. There's personal and business. If all someone wants is a personal loan, do they need to have a fundable business? No. But if we want business funding under the business, under the EIN, then we need to have a fundable business. This is where the education comes into play. A lot of these folks don't know what you know. They don't know what it takes to have a fundable business. Therefore, they probably don't. So that's why we follow the 3E approach that Kenny just mentioned in the chat. And if you're not familiar with the 3E approach, we'll go ahead and add that as the second key concept. We need to get you familiar with it. And so when I ask questions here, it's never to embarrass you or paint you in a corner. But if anyone is not familiar with the 3E approach, go ahead and make a comment as such in the Q&A and we'll address it. If you already know it, I don't want to waste your time. But let's go back to the top. We kind of jumped right in. So the first thing that we like to do on the morning trainings is make sure that if you do want to be a reseller / grant coordinator, distribution partner, more generally stated, are you open for business? Are you ready to go? Are you ready to help people and make money? And again, how we do that is again the 3E approach. So let me ask, is everyone comfortable with the 3E approach? Do you know what the 3Es are? Are you doing it? Do you know how to do it? Or do you need some assistance with any of the 3Es? If so, this is a great time to ask. And then secondly, our topic today is going to be about the RMP, the Reseller Marketing Program, which we see in the background a landing page. We want to make sure that all of you have a landing page, because you can go out and create awareness, but you really need to create a sales funnel. You need to drive your prospects somewhere. And our experience has been, if you have a landing page, which we'll provide you, and it's unique to you, you can see this little 153-60109. That's the this unique code to the distribution partner that this landing page is for. So when the distribution partner is marketing his or her own landing page, the leads come in here, they're attached to that distribution partner, but there's a drip campaign because not everyone will sign up immediately. Sometimes we need to continue to educate, and we can take care of that for you. Okay, but back to the 3E approach. Are we all good with that? Bilal, I see you're on. Are you able to follow the 3E approach? Do you know what to do? Franz, do you know how to leverage the 3E approach? We've got 536 of you on, which is great, but I'm not confident that all of you know what this is. But if you don't tell me otherwise, then I'll assume you've got it mastered. Okay, well, if anyone needs me to come back and revisit it, I can. All right, so with the reseller marketing program, it's optional. We have a promotion that we're running from the 15th of May to the end of May to provide a free landing page. Now, the truth is, the landing page is, and so let's go ahead and break this down. So we have the RMP, which is the Reseller Marketing Program, and it includes a number of things. It includes the landing page. The landing page has automation, which means it drip markets to them over time, continuously repetitively educating them and motivating them to sign your contract. It also includes an e-signature contract that we develop on your behalf. So it's kind of the tool set. Now, historically, we charged a deposit for the RMP. So normally it's about $1,000 deposit. But if you just run just one client through, then we'll reimburse it. So, but the RMP package also provides what's very important. I'm going to put some asterisk around this. It provides the 5% payout on the back end. So if you want, and I guess it sounds sarcastic, it wasn't meant to be, but if you want to be paid the 5% on the back end, in other words, you control the front end, how much you want to charge clients for Shelf Corp. You can mark it above the wholesale price. Wholesale price is $10,000. They don't need to pay anything out of pocket. With approved credit, we finance 100%. But the point is, if you want to be paid on the back end, you have to be in the RMP. So everybody say, "Oh shit, I got to pay money to get paid on the back end." No, that's what I'm saying. What I let you know is that from May 5th, we covered this actually on the 15th of May, but just to reiterate, from May 15th to May 31st, if you'll bring a deal in that pays for their Shelf Corp in full, we'll waive that normal deposit. So the way it normally works is you pay $1,000 deposit, we build all this out, then you're eligible for the 5% on the back end, and then once you run a deal through, you get a refund. But what we're offering to do is to waive that deposit if you bring a deal in between May 15th and May 31st, 2025, that pays for their Shelf Corp in full. So it waives the deposit. Some people say, well, why do you charge if it's going to be free anyway? Well, it takes time, effort, energy for us to build all this out. And frankly, when you offer free things to people, a lot of people want free, shiny things, but a lot of people don't do anything, and it's a horrible use of our time. So, free RMP. So, let's go ahead and call it. There's a free RMP offer. If you will bring a deal in between May 15th and May 31st, which you should be doing anyway, right? Because that's what you're here to do if you're a distribution partner. But bring a deal in between the 15th, which is already passed, and the 31st that pays for the full shelf court no later than the end of the month, then we'll waive the deposit. Otherwise, you'll need to pay the deposit. But if you want the back end, we have to have you on the RMP. We have a new compliance officer. His name's Bob. Bob's a retired oil and gas attorney, and he's coming in and helping us maybe strengthen some of the areas that we were a little bit too loose on before. And he wants us to have in writing the commitment to pay you that 5%. We don't want to just say, oh, yeah, it's an oral agreement, it's a verbal agreement. That can lead to misunderstandings. We don't want any misunderstandings. So, with that being said, we need to be contractually committed to pay you on the back end, and that happens through the RMP package. Normally, you'd have to pay a deposit to get the RMP package, and that deposit would be refunded after you ran your first deal through. However, through the promotion, we're waiving that. So Bilal's raised his hand. He says, well, where do I get the landing page? Well, we have our tech support line, right? So this is our primary way for us to be able to communicate with you all. And so if you're ready for the RMP, let us know. If you don't want to pay that refundable deposit, then don't let us know yet. Bring a deal through, have your deal go through and pay for the shelf court, which is the normal process, then text us and say, hey, I want to claim my free RMP. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, so Peter says if he brings a deal in, then gets the RMP. Oh, will he still get the 5%? Yeah, we'll retro that back. Yes, yeah. So um, he's worried that if he brings a deal in, but he's not under this contract, will he still get this if he does this as a second step? And the answer is yes. But the bottom line is we have about 10 days left in the month. So let's just call it a week and a half. If a week and a half is not enough time for you to bring a deal in, you're probably not in the right role because we need to make sure that we're working with active partners. And if you're just too busy, if you are a dabbler, and I say that, and that's not like a negative derogatory term, but when we offer to be a distribution partner for free, what happens is you attract dabblers, right? Because they don't have any skin in the game. It's not like they have to apply any scrutiny or decision making. Well, do I want to do this because it's free and there's no contract? That was kind of novel for us in the beginning, and we're not going to charge anyone to be a distribution partner. But the problem is we have lots and lots of new distribution partners, and with anything free, a lot of people don't produce. So we can't keep up with that. So we need to work with people that are going to produce. So as of June 1st, don't expect to get the back end payout if we've not promised in writing to do so. We want to promise in writing, and that comes through the RMP and provides these tools. Hopefully that makes sense. I want you to understand the why as well. All right, so Willie asked, does a finance shelf corp count? Yeah. So if a client pays out of pocket for the shelf corp, which is not the norm, of course that counts, or they apply for financing and get financing. Sure. All right, so I think that covers the questions. Again, if there, it looks like there's some discussion coming up now, a bit delayed on the 3 E's. So let's go ahead and go back to that and make sure we're all clear. So you're smart, you're talented, you're our outreach arm. So I'm not here to tell you how to do the outreach. We have trainings that you can access, some best practices that others do, but ultimately it's up to you how you want to go create awareness. So you first have to generate awareness, right, with anything. And until someone knows, and until you have someone's attention, you can't really educate them. But let's go through the 3E approach, and we'll space these out so maybe it's easier to follow. So the first of the E's is educate. And you typically want to use the 27 mistake training, we'll say on demand training video. So when you became a distribution partner, you should have received the implementation email that had a number of things, and we've revised that over time, that now it includes all the resources for the 3E. If you've been around with us for a while, you might have the implementation packet that predated the inclusion of the 3E. So what you could do is just text us and say, hey, I need an updated implementation package. But the bottom line is, now and going forward, if you become a distribution partner, it has all these resources included. The first of the 3Es is to educate. Why do we want to start with education? Well, first of all, a lot of people don't know what you know. A lot of people lack sophistication. A lot of people lack financial literacy. So that could cause them to not maybe understand what we do or how we do it, because what we do is legitimate, it's real, and frankly most of it is based off of what those of us that used to work at the SBA did there. But if you don't understand it, maybe it doesn't make sense. So we want to start by educating the prospect. Again, this is on demand. So it's not like, oh, you have to get the PowerPoint deck and you have to edit it and you have to memorize it and you have to present it. We've simplified it, right? It's on demand. So you can provide that link to them. You can watch it with them or just have them watch it and then follow up. But we need to educate these individuals. And if they're going to qualify for the grant, technically, they're supposed to go through this because it's not a sales pitch, it's educational. Have have all of you gone through this lesson, the 27 mistake training yourself? Can you just confirm for a moment? Lainey, have you gone through it? Are you very familiar with it? Peter, Prelo, we've got too many people for me to ask. But if not, that's probably where you need to start, because it's a bit hypocritical that you're going to go out and promote some educational message that you don't know. All right, so that's the first of the 3Es. The second is to evaluate. And so we use the comparison grid, which again is sent to you and has always been sent with the packet. So the 3E specifically recently have been added to the implementation packet, but the comparison grid has always been there. And it's an editable Word document where you take our information off and go through it go through it with them. This is not meant to be a hands-off step. I don't think that you'll be very successful creating a relationship with the prospect. I don't think you'll be very successful building trust. I don't think you'll be successful building relevancy if you don't go through this with them together. The purpose of the comparison grid is to help them objectively evaluate different options to solve their problem. Because what we're assuming is they have a problem that they're looking to solve. They need money to start or grow a business. So that's the pre-qualification. And we can go up to, I guess, add this as, so there's really only one qualification question you need to ask. It's not what's your credit score, it's not where are you from, it's just simply, are you looking for money to start or grow a business? So that's the qualification question. If it's no, then we don't really need to spend time with them on the three E's. They don't have a problem that you and I can solve, or at least not through this process. So the comparison grid shows them different options that they have. And we have a training video that shows you how to use it most effectively, because it's not to force something down their throat. It's not to pitch and sell them. It's to say, okay, you've got a problem. Now we have a common understanding of what it takes to have a fundable business. Let's compare what options you have. So the grid is pre-populated with our option, your, mine, what we do with the fundable shelf corp. And then it has blank columns where you can facilitate the comparison of what you and I offer to what else they're considering. But I'll promise you, in most cases, they don't have a plan B or a plan C or a plan D. Most of them don't have other options of how to solve their problem. We have a unique proposition that legitimately, legally, ethically solves their problem. So the comparison grid is designed psychologically to help them come to the conclusion of, well, this is probably the best way to proceed. And then the third E is just simply to enroll if they want. It's if they want. If it's not in their best interest, we don't want to force them, but we need to move them on along. And so I think that's where some of you get hung up. This should be bang, 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 right? These three should happen quickly in succession. Some of you are not, I guess, good closers. Not that you have to be some extraordinary salesperson, but if they've got a problem and we've demonstrated we're the best solution, the only logical thing to do is to move forward. So we use the editable client agreement to enroll them. I'm humbled by the challenges that some of our distribution partners are having, because the rule on the editable agreement, which is provided and has always been provided with the implementation packet when someone fills out the grant coordinator form on 509 Pacific, it's an editable Word document. The one rule is to take all of our information off and replace it with yours, with the reseller's information, because it's what we call a private label or a white label. Now, you can make any other changes you want. You can change the pricing. Some of you are even changing the deliverables. If you go to Exhibit E, it has a list of bullet, 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 bullet. Here's all the things that they get. Well, some of you are adding to it, and that's great. Some of you are accountants, so you're offering to do their taxes for free. Some of you are attorneys, so you're offering certain legal services for free. Some of you are website developers, so you're developing a website for free, or maybe not even free, maybe it's just built into your pricing because you control the pricing. So that we need to stick with this concept of private label, white label, because not all agreements look the same, because each of you may have a different background and you're offering different value add services. Now, on this client agreement, you get to pick what the client pays, right? You choose the retail price. We know the wholesale price of the Shelf Corp is $10,000. We know that we don't need them to pay any out of pocket with approved credit, because once you have them under contract, we're going to give them a finance app, no hard inquiries, and we're going to get them financing offers to pay for it in full. So you choose how much you want to sell the Shelf Corp for. Historically, most of you have sold it for between 15 and 20,000. So the math is simple, right? And we can put it on here. So how do you make money? Well, number one, on the front end, you mark it up. And so you decide how much you want to mark it up. Anything above 10,000 is your profit. We have a new reseller, and I'm not saying this to encourage or to distract, but he's selling the Shelf Corp for $100,000. To me, that's a lot. And I challenged him on it, but that's what he wants to do. So that's why each of you can choose how much you want to charge for the Shelf Corp, and you'll edit your client agreement. And then our job is to go get them financing for that. The second way that you make money, but 15 to 20,000 is the norm. And then the second is the back end, which is always 5%. And then we also pay a 5% override. We're not MLM, not network marketing, but we charge the client 10% of the capital raise. And the great news is we pay out the entire 10% to the sales organization. But if you want this back end, as of June 1st, you've got to be on the RMP. So does that mean you got to pay to get the back end? No, I already told you. We have a promotion. Bring a deal in, and as long as you bring one deal in between the 15th and 31st of May, 2025, that pays for their shelf corp in full, which can be through financing, then we'll give this to you. Otherwise, you'll need to pay, if you don't do that and you want to make the money on the back end, you will need to pay the refundable deposit to get the RMP. But you've got a window of time, right? And if you can't muster up one client in the next week and a half, it's probably not the right fit anyway for you. All right, so hopefully that answered that question. Mike's asking about the back end. Well, I guess that's what we're on. So maybe he typed it before I explained it. But the bottom line is this is off their capital raise. It's a performance fee, a success fee. It's like a realtor, right? How is a realtor paid? They're paid at closing as a percent, usually 6%, of the real estate transaction. Well, you're making 5% of every time they have a capital raise. So they may have multiple tranches, multiple rounds. Great, you're paid 5%, 5%, 5%. But we've got to get you, because of our new compliance officer, Bob, the retired oil and gas attorney, he wants us to have this in writing to promise to pay you. We don't want to make any promises that aren't in writing because we don't want there to ever be an issue of he said, she said. So we need to make this promise to you in writing. That's packaged with the RMP, which we have our promotion. You can get it free May 15th, May 31st, as long as you enroll a client that pays for the shelf corp in full, which financing counts. All right. Jennifer asked a great question. So when does she get the front end? So that's a great question. So let's describe the front end payout process. So the first thing is you as the distribution partner need to get the client under contract. So get client under contract, which means you use that editable agreement. Hopefully you've educated them and evaluated them first, but regardless, to Jennifer's question, you need to enroll them. So then what will happen is you will specifically upload the agreement into the portal. You might say, I don't have a portal. I don't know what the hell that means. Well, once you sign your first deal, we're going to provide you access to a portal to upload your deals to. So you won't be emailing them to us. So you're going to get a client under contract. You'll upload to the portal. If it's your first deal, you need to text us and let us know that you need access to the portal. We don't provide the portal until you have a deal under contract, just because we got to match time and effort and energy with what's needed at the time. So then we recommend text us to let us know that you've uploaded an agreement in the portal, and use a text support line. So then what will happen is then we'll send the client the finance application. We'll copy you on it so you know it's been sent. And then Madison, who's on our training, our funding coordinator, Madison, will call them and say, hey, thanks for buying a shelf corp from Jennifer or whomever. We sent you the finance app to pay for it. Please complete it. So she'll call them. She doesn't reach them, she'll leave a message. She doesn't reach them, she'll text them. But also, you could be reaching out to them as well, right? They're your client, and we need to get you paid. And that's what we're doing, is we're answering Jennifer's question of when does she get the front end. I'm describing that. So then client completes finance application. It's an e-signature, so it'll automatically come back to us. They don't have to go figure out how to submit it back to us. Then we'll get them offers. Everyone will get at least one offer to pay for the shelf corp. but we have about 40, about 40 different cash lenders that will get them offers that they can stack. In other words, accept multiple offers. They could end up with over 100,000 of what we call first tranche financing. Maybe they get many offers, maybe they get a few. Everyone gets at least one. So, getting back to Jennifer's question, so then the client accepts one or more of the offers. So this first round, this first tranche is really designed to get them the money to pay you for the shelf court based upon your chosen retail price. So they accept one or more of the offers. Client gets money wired to them from the lender. Now, if they don't qualify for any cash funding and they're in the buy now, pay later, it's a little bit different, but that's the exception. Most people will get cash offers. So then client will pay you retail price. So that's the answer to Jennifer's question. She's asking, well, when does she get paid? So you're never waiting for us to get paid because Jennifer's smart. She's picking up, hey, if we need to have a contract that confirms we're going to pay you 5% on the back end, you might say, well, where's the contract that says you're going to make money on the front end? Well, you're the one paying us, right? Because the client, you're generating the client. We're getting them the finance offers, of course, but the client's getting the money. The client's paying you whatever you decided to sell it for. And then what would happen is then you pay us the wholesale price. So thus, Jennifer, anything that you've charged above wholesale is your profit, and you get that up front from the client. Once we get this, then we implement. We're not going to implement until we get this because we've not been paid. So you're in control of the front end. You're not waiting for us to pay you anything on the front end. So we don't pay you on the front end, you pay us, as I just described through those 10 steps. Does that make sense? So it's different on the back end, we're paying you, but on the front end, anyone have questions on those steps? Very important. Peter asked, yeah, so we'll know when the client's gotten funded, but you'll just, again, text us, let us know that you're ready to send over our portion, and then we'll give you payment coordinates. Super simple. And then we'll need to get your payment coordinates to pay you on the back end, but we get that through the RMP. So it's very important. It's not an affiliate program, right? An affiliate program, you would be going out representing us. We would be getting paid by the client, and you'd be waiting for us to pay you. This is much more empowering. Now, any of you that are sophisticated, and that's not an insult, not meant to be sounding like that, but any of you that are sophisticated at all, you know you would prefer this model. Why? Because you're getting the gross income. So let's say you're selling the shelf court for 20,000, your profit's 10,000. It's a 50% profit margin, which is great. So the client's not wiring you just 10,000, the client's wiring you 20,000, the full amount, the gross amount, whatever matches the agreement that you have with them. That's what you want, right? A business is more valuable. A business has more borrowing capacity the more gross income they have. All right, so we've covered Jennifer's question of the front end. You're paid up front based upon the client going through those 10 steps. Now, you might have some clients that just say, hey, I don't want to do financing. They just want to pay you for it out of pocket, and that's fine. That accelerates the process. As far as the back end, we pay next day. So once we get so we're not going through that process at the moment, but once the client has a capital raise, we invoice them 10%, which is what our contract says with them, and then we pay it out the next business day. All right, well, we ran a little bit long. If you need anything else, oh, well, I see Kenny's asking about the grant. So yes, once a client has bought a shelf corp from you, has used the shelf corp for funding, then the grant reimburses them 20 up to 20,000 for the purchase price of the shelf corp, and that's on that checklist, but we're about to run out of time here. So just a follow up. If you need to call us, you can call us. Best to text us 903-347-8042 if you need to schedule. There's our Calendly link if you need quick cash or to become a reseller. It's all on 509 Pacific. Our past trainings are on YouTube. Thanks, sorry ran long, and we will see you back tomorrow morning. Have a great day.